I like the earphones.
Hi, I'm Blue Bailey,
And I'm Dexter DeNovo, and this is Reading is Fundamental.
the show where we talk about news in entertainment law.
Yes, that leather daddy
And that drag queen.
are both licensed California attorneys,
We celebrate queerness
sex positivity,
and reading bitches for filth.
and with that being said,
The library is now open.
officially.
The library is open.
Because reading is what? Fundamental.
The information on this podcast is for general information purposes only. Nothing in this podcast should be taken as legal advice for any individual, case, or situation. This information is not intended to create an attorney-client relationship. Sorry about it.
What?
Fundamental.
Hi, I'm Blue Bailey, and I'm here with my fellow co-host and momager, Dexter DeNovo.
We're rocking the earphones today.
You're giving very Alexis Michelle in the musical.
Momager. Just like that. Did you even let me introduce myself? My name is Dexter DeNovo.
And she is the villain of this episode.
We're the villain of the episode. Welcome to the Reading is Fundamental podcast. We're happy to have you. It's been quite a weekend this weekend.
Yeah, we are here recording in our new fancy studio in Burbank, presented by Daddy Fleshbot.
Thank you, Fleshbot.
Big step up from your living room.
Yes, girl. Yes, girl. We're setting up our own lights before and our camera and everything.
I was doing editing, and let me tell you, I am not a good editor. I eventually had to outsource editing to someone who is actually really good at it.
Yes, thank you so much. We are happy to be down in Burbank, but we've had a whole weekend full of activities.
Girl, it's been a little road trip.
Yes, we started with your book reading.
I did a book reading
At the Tom of Finland house.
movie. I'm an author.
You're
in
a
the
distinguished
fourth
author.
printing. It was great. We teamed up with a very sexy Blue Black that I met at Claw. Blue Black Danielle. And Danielle put on this amazing kind of Blue Black workshop. I did my reading, and it was all at the historic Tom of Finland house.
Oh my gosh, the Tom of Finland house is so cool.
Yeah, I got to see you. I got to see one of my other best friends, David, who I haven't seen in years.
Yes. Eric was there.
Eric was there.
Thank you, Eric, for housing us while we've been here.
Jacob came in.
Jacob came, handmade by Jacob.
And it was hot as fuck outside.
It was.
We were all dying. Your makeup was melting.
No, it wasn't. It lasted all day.
You literally told me when you were putting your
Oh,
makeup
it was
on
melting when
that
I put
the
it on.
glue
Yeah.
was
It literally, I was putting the glue stick on and it was melting down my face. I was like, this is never going to
giving
stay.
Wicked Witch of the West vibes.
Yes.
Still is.
Wow.
But then that wasn't it. We went immediately
Oh my gosh,
from
yes.
the Tom of Finland house to Hot Dog Sunday.
Yes.
We were there.
Mario Diaz.
Hustling and promoting the podcast.
Yes. So we were there. We were guests of Mario Diaz for Hot Dog and promoting the podcast and socializing and looking cute and meeting people and being hot in the sun.
Yeah.
But it was a long day for us, especially for somebody who's geriatric like me. It was a lot. Getting up, getting into drag, being outside, being hot.
Yeah.
Socializing.
I'm going to be 36, but I have the energy and the whole of a 76-year-old. So
Blown out.
blown out and tired.
Massive.
Fatigued.
She doesn't feel anything.
We never
down
say
there.
tired. We say fatigued.
It's the fancier way to say she's tired.
Yes. But speaking of turning 36.
Oh, yes.
My birthday trip is coming up.
Yes.
I used to, and you've been there, and our guest who I'll introduce soon has been there. I used to make it a tradition of going to Lazy Bear.
Oh, yeah. I went to Lazy
Every year. Lazy Bear is this amazing event in Guerneville. But girl, it's expensive.
It is.
It's expensive to spend.
So
all
instead,
that...
we're going to spend more money and go to Vegas.
Yes. If you're gonna spend all that money, I don't want to just go an hour and a half outside of San Francisco in the woods. If I'm gonna spend all that money, I want an experience. So I'm seeing Katy Perry Friday, Kelly Clarkson Saturday, Drag Race Live on Sunday, and 1 or 2 drag brunches thrown in.
One or two, just a
One or
few.
two. Just the tot.
Just a little bit. I love you're like, it's so expensive. Let's go to Vegas instead.
Hey, we're getting bang for our buck. Katy Perry's not going to be there anymore.
Fair.
She's allegedly the best act on the show. Jacob, who you met yesterday, has designed stuff for Katy Perry.
Oh, sick.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
Amazing.
So I'm excited. And Kelly is like one of the best vocalists of our generation.
I am happy to go. I'm not like, I don't know much about Kelly Clarkson other than she won and she has a show and things like that. But like, I know she's a very good singer, so I am
Very
excited
good.
to go like see her.
She does an amazing cover of Hamilton.
Ooh.
So I'm already envisioning because we're in the pit. It's surprisingly the pit standing room in the very front was cheaper than anything else.
Yeah, nobody wants to stand, girl.
Yeah, no, the seats were like hundreds and thousands of dollars. It was like $200 to get a floor ticket, and I'm already envisioning like being there. I have a birthday sash on, and Kelly brings me on stage, and she's like, "What song do you want me to sing for you?"
What song do you want for me, boo?
And at first, I was like, "I want you to do Hamilton." I'm like, "But no, that won't show off your vocal range." And then
You're
I'm
like, can you do My Humps?
And then I was like, she does this amazing song called Piece by Piece that shows off her range. And then I was like, you know what? I just saw Six a million times.
Oh, no.
What if she would do just like a surprise cover of Six? I'll like, bitch, I'll pull up the lyrics for you. I'll pull up the lyrics. There's two ballads in Six that I think she would fucking slay. There's Heart of Stone, and then I don't know what the second one is. It's like, I Love You, Boy. She would do that one great.
You're like, you have these fantasies like, oh, it would be great if this did this, and all these conspiracy theories about everything.
Yeah. And your point is?
Come back to reality.
No, I just need to be...
She's not going to come up to you in your birthday sash and sing you a Six musical song.
Well, you know what? I just need to be an agent or a producer so I could be like, hey, Kelly, you know what your next cover should be? It should be Six. Or, hey, RuPaul, like, do you know who your cast of All Winners Season 2 should be?
Who?
It should be these people. But no, I
okay.
should be like making these decisions.
I think we really should be making this decision, especially after this All-Stars 8.
All-Stars 8 is trash.
It's
trash.
bad.
I was so ready to get behind the Fame Games because I'm
still
like,
behind.
all right, it's going to be rigged with whoever's fan favorite, but at least let's give the Shangela or the Ben or the Manila of the season some money. And I was ready when Jessica got eliminated. I'm like, okay, this is shitty, but this is also her ticket to like $60,000. And then we got this stupid ass multiplier where RuPaul's like, no,
The multiplier
I'm still
is
going to
stupid.
produce like this fan vote.
Yeah, and Naisha talked about it at Roscoe's, and she was like, even if I get 10,000 and Lala got 5,000, she's going to win. Like, it's 3, she's going to get 15 total.
It's bullshit.
Yeah.
And I don't think she's going to win, but I love Darian Lake. Darian Lake like won me over with
the campaign.
With one
Her smear campaign all over social media is so great.
Yes, but first with her Snow Bunny look, where she was the only
She can't
one
win for one look,
to go full cocaine reference,
which was really good.
Which was amazing. But then yes, like smearing people, being like, "Don't vote for Naisha. Look at her model boyfriend. She's already won in life.
She's already won in life. Look at her boyfriend.
Don't vote for Kahana. Like, she's got a Vegas. She's already got it in with RuPaul.
Yeah, and if we're like about not polluting the environment, then we should really not support her plastic surgery. Like,
I agree. It's been great.
It's been, we talked about it on the way down. The one thing we did want to talk about on the way down. But I think the Fame Games are still a net positive. Like, we are still able to see all the looks. We're talking about their looks. You're talking about the Snow Bunny look and everything. Like, we're still talking about their looks. They're able to ride them off and, like, do all the things. And it will give an opportunity for somebody else.
And it was, I'll admit, the best use of the talent show.
Oh,
and,
yeah.
And it was it was nice to have the reading challenge with everyone there.
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay, what was your favorite read real quick?
Oh, you're putting me on the
I don't
spot.
remember either.
I've killed so many brain cells that I can't recall the read. I don't know. I'd have to look it up.
Yeah, I can't remember any either, so.
Okay.
That's good.
I think we should move into our mini.
Yes, and invite our
main.
guest.
I'm very happy to have our guest here. One of my besties in San Francisco, Pup Amp.
Yes, please welcome to the stage, Pup Amp.
Hi. Hello.
Hi.
I can't believe, first of all, thank you for having me on your show. Second of all, the songs I Don't Need Your Love, and you can't even call yourself a Six fan if you don't know the songs in the
Oh my
freaking
God.
musical.
No.
What the heck?
Oh,
Second of all, I think it was Darian that read what's her face for the helipad comment because her hair killed me.
Thank you.
That killed me.
Yes.
Michelle found dead right after the reading
Found dead
challenge.
right after the reading challenge. Thank you.
Did you watch the pit stop with Simone?
Oh, that was good.
Absolutely.
Oh my god.
Absolutely.
Bianca and
First of
Simone were
all-
like, she's Jewish. She had an out. She could have wear a yarmulke the whole time.
Honestly, the best part of all of season All Stars 8 has been the pit stop. Like, I think all of the guests with Bianca Del Rio, it's been great to do that. And okay.
Well, I was just gonna say, and whoever's editing it needs a raise because the edits of the pit stop have been on point. The gags where the shoes, you know,
Yes.
she got her feet done.
Her toes done. She's got a toe
I
appointment.
believed her. I thought she really got her feet done.
I did
for a
too,
minute.
honestly. I thought she really did. And I
Yeah.
was like, okay. I think they were Balenciagas too. So I was like, okay, fine, whatever. Thank you so much for being on our show. You were one of the people that helped us launch this. So we're really grateful to finally have you here.
And look how far you guys have come. Though I do want to talk about that logo. I don't know. Do you have copyright infringement for that logo up there that I definitely helped to create before you guys
which
even
one?
started? 'Cause
Not this one.
I don't
This one?
remember. I
This
don't remember
one?
signing any paperwork for that. That's
okay.
really.
Thank you so much for this licensing. Moving on to our first topic.
Now everyone's gonna know that I wear basketball shorts.
Moving on to our first topic, not about copyright, but about the FTC's endorsement guidelines for influencers. Are you familiar with this? I wrote about this in law school. This was one of my papers that I wrote about in law school.
So I'm not familiar with the new FTC endorsement lines, but I am generally familiar with the concept. I work in-house, and I do a lot of our influencer agreements, and I do a lot of our sweepstakes and contest rules, and there's a lot of disclosures that need to be made when an influencer is posting content on behalf of a corporation, or if you're posting certain things for commercial gain pretty much online.
It started because, I mean, like, as social media was coming up and whatever, and then, I mean, pretty organically, like, all of these like influencer campaigns started where it's like, oh, hey, you have quite a following, like, if I just gave you a product or give you a little bit of money or whatever, like, would you be willing to shout me out? And then it grew and grew and grew and grew and grew, and then it started to become pretty obvious to consumers in the United States that it was like, oh, you're confusing this, like, you think that this is just this person who is using it because they like it, you know what I mean?
Yeah. Or you get to the point where, like, the content is so good and seamless that you can't really tell if it's an advertisement or not, which I think is, like, when you know that it's working.
Yes, it's kind of like, oh, okay, well, they're like, you know, it's an endorsement. I mean, I think the earlier, if I say earlier, these like 6 years ago in social media, but it's like the earlier examples of this were like Kim's like vitamin pills for your hair and things like that.
Yeah.
Like those.
I'm just thinking of the dude who fucked all the pasta in the Fleshjack. Like, his whole shtick was, which, you haven't seen this?
No.
Oh my god! So this guy, his whole shtick is like, which is the best pasta to fuck?
No.
And he has different pastas put in different Fleshjacks, but it's not. I haven't watched the whole video.
Is it rotini?
It could be, but
Ew,
that's,
why am I
that's
even
the whole
talking about
thing.
this?
It's like spaghetti bruschini, and the whole content, like, you don't know. Like, it could be a Fleshlight sponsored piece.
It could be a
that he
Fleshlight
made.
sponsored
I didn't watch the whole video to see if like there was like a little wink and a nod. But I think it's content like that where, are you watching it as content? Are you watching it as an advertisement? Is it both?
It is very confusing. So, like, when I started writing about this in law school, they were putting out so the FTC is a Federal Trade Commission. They're responsible for protecting consumers. They're you know, they don't want consumers to be defrauded. They want consumers to be, you know, guaranteed the services that they've been given, blah, blah, blah. And they don't want anybody to be confused for advertisements as it is.
It's making sure that when a company says a claim, that claim could be substantiated.
Yes.
It's not false. It's
Yes.
not misleading, that there's some basis
Yes.
for a marketing claim.
You can't be like, oh, this is going to cure your acne, and it doesn't do shit. You know what I mean?
You could say, this will help your skin, maybe,
Yes.
but
Yes.
you can't say, like, like you said.
Yeah, or it's going to get rid of your acne or anything like that. So, like, with social media in particular, they put out these guidelines that are like, okay, if you're doing this online advertising, you need to do a couple things. The biggest thing, I think, is the, like, hashtag ad in front of the description. And so, like, you're supposed to put, like, hashtag ad or advertisement or something.
Or, like, sponsored.
Or sponsored in front of the message. And it's supposed to be above the fold, which I had to learn what that means. means. Amp, what is above the fold mean?
Is that like a labia?
Yeah. Do you know about back rolls, right?
Back rolls. Stand up, Stefan.
Oh.
Yes, we're familiar.
So, like, forever ago, this is like, I don't know, 5-6 years ago, maybe at this point, but the FTC has always been the ones that kind of drive and pretty much dictate how, let's say, YouTubers are promoting a product. It used to be that you could just do whatever you want. You could do a video with some makeup brand. You didn't have to explicitly say anything. And then it was found out that, a lot of these YouTubers actually owned parts of these makeup brands that they were not making explicitly aware that, we're working in collaboration. So now with influencers, because I do YouTube content weekly, we have, if we ever work with a sponsor, we usually have like specific ad read points like, hey, today's video is brought to you by insert person, or like you said, a hashtag ad if it's a reel, or in the fold, which is like before you hit show more in a video description or some sort of like learn more, it has to be visible in that first line or two usually. So you have to say like, oh, today's video is brought to you by blah, blah, blah. And if you want to do blah, 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 check out blah, blah, blah. Insert link, hashtag ad, hashtag spawn. And as annoying as that is, like...
I'm like, I have a feeling that you've done this before. Like
a few times. But like, to the point where like YouTube has like a little checkbox when you're uploading something where you have to say, is this sponsored or working with an advertiser or not? And if you don't make that very clear, A, you'll get like a channel strike or get in trouble with whatever platform. And B, if you do click that thing, then it puts like in the first 15 seconds of the video, it'll put like a little overlay that you don't see in the video. It's native to the platform that says this video is sponsored or brought to you by a sponsor. So it's very, very clear. Like they've had to do it to that point because, as you said, people were gaming the system and making money when they weren't being super, super honest.
Yeah.
I think as a side note, just like from a language perspective, because we've all been saying like ad and sponsored by. I've worked with a lot of marketing departments who get that the audience sees that and they see it as like a paid promotion, and they kind of want to move away from that and start using language like in partnership with or partnering with.
Well, Instagram has the like little paid partnership thing that you can click on, right? And it's like you just like, and then it shows at the top like paid partnership with whatever.
But
which is impossible to use though.
Is it?
Because you have to get permission. From said company,
from the company.
Sometimes the companies don't have proper social media people that are quick to the game. So like, it's like obnoxious to even try to do, but impossible not to do, or else you get in trouble.
Interesting.
But like legally, like a partnership is very different than a sponsorship. And like we've been pressed to like not use the word partnership at all and say that it really does need to be
That's
sponsored.
super interesting. And only because it's like when you do contracts between companies, there's always there's always the boilerplate like shit that's always in there, like whatever. It's like usually in contracts between companies it says, we are explicitly not forming a partnership together because there could be some instances where you start collaborating and then legally you become a partnership because you've done a couple things together. So it is interesting. I think it is smart to avoid the partnership verbiage.
Yeah, like we've been told to like not even call it like a partnership agreement or like using partnership in the ad text.
I'm interested to know about how this works on Twitch, because when I did my articles about it in law school, Twitch was like still becoming a thing, and they were trying to figure out how you do proper disclosures on a live stream. You know what I mean? Because it's like you can't, if it's just the whole video, you can't see the text. Or if you do the disclosure at the beginning of the stream, bitch, it's been 8 hours since like you've been on this thing, you know what I mean? So it's like nobody knows or whatever. So at the time, the solution was to like, you have to do it at regular intervals and be like, okay, like every so often, oh, just a reminder, our stream today is brought to you by this blah, blah, blah. Is that right? Is that something that you do, or is that something that you've heard?
Yeah, so it depends on the sponsor and how you're integrating it and what their asks are. But like, for instance, if we're like working with a subscription box service of some kind, we'll have a QR code on screen sometimes, or like an actual like pop-up that shows the name of the brand, like how many people have like redeemed the thing. But you do have to, whenever you're doing it, if it's once an hour or if they ask for like every 30 minutes, you have to give like a, hey, and today's stream is sponsored by so-and-so. Here's a little video, or here are the talking points, and you can clearly see me like reading the talking points on my computer. Go with it, like it for a second. You're someone in the community, like this is how I pay my bills. And most people aren't bothered by that. It can be a little intrusive, but usually like as a creator that's like on Twitch, I'll be like, well, the first 2 hours are going to be part of the sponsored, and then I'm going to not do the spiel every hour after that.
Got it.
Yeah, you kind of just set those expectations, and then you follow whatever guidelines. And most companies are pretty good about giving you the bullet points of, this is what it is, this is the ask, here's the deliverable, do this and that. And
that's what I was going to ask about next, is like, how does this look like in practice? Like, I mean, you're on the side of like, you're giving the contracts to the influencers. You're the one that's getting the contracts as an influencer. So it's like, you know, they're just bullet pointed, like, hey, this is like what we need. We need you to say this at this time, or that type of thing. So like, that's how it works practically, I guess.
It really depends. So like for our Twitch stuff, usually I get that through a third party like platform that people use for notifications and for building assets for their stuff. Like they kind of work that in. But then there are like YouTube sponsorships where like sometimes I have to send them just a real stupid, simple contract and be like, put the talking points here.
Yeah.
Tell me how much is being paid here.
Yes.
Tell me the deliverables and hashtags.
Yes.
It really depends on the company.
Yeah.
But most of the time they send the deliverables, I sign it, send it back, and we just move forward.
Yeah, go ahead.
I have a question, because like it's the FCC is making these requirements a little more stringent and a little more obvious. So on one hand, if you're watching live content, they want at regular intervals for it to be announced that this is a sponsored ad. But I'm assuming, Amp, that like you got to pay to mention it like more than once, like, or a certain amount of times. Like it seems like that's going to be maybe in conflict, where maybe they've only paid for them to be mentioned like 3 times, but it may be required by the FCC to like mention it more throughout.
It's going to be interesting to see how this affects it. It's so funny, and we'll get into this, I'm sure, the entire rest of the episode. Like, law is not ready for social media.
Oh,
It is
God.
not,
I mean,
no.
the law's
don't
always
get it.
behind everything. Like, everything. Everything.
But especially this, where
Yes.
things fluctuate so quickly,
Yes.
and people, like, there's like meta cultures to all these platforms and how people are making money.
Yeah.
So it's going to be really interesting, because especially live content.
Yeah.
Like, you don't expect to be interrupted by network going down or internet breaking or someone, you know, coming into the room that's not dressed properly. Like, so much.
Yeah.
I've seen so many things happen on streams that just derail, let's say, an ad read or a specific thing. So I'm always scared when law comes into kind of like flip everything on its head about how influencers can make money. Because when it comes to tax season, I don't see them helping influencers get their money back whatsoever. But they're fine taking the 20% or 30 or however much you have to give for that specific platform. It's always fun, he says while his neck twitches.
All right, I'm gonna take this back from Twitch to the other media, Twitter, and like everything else, pretty much. And it seems that one of the new requirements is going to be that if there's a video, you need to say that it's an ad in the actual video content. That it will no longer be sufficient to just put hashtag/ad in like the text description.
I don't know if they have to say it, but it does need to be explicit.
Well,
so like so like in tech, I don't use TikTok, girl, but like from what I think TikTok looks like,
She's way too old for TikTok.
she's way too. We're
That's what it looks like.
But like, if it's anything like Reels, I think, then it's like, here's the thing, and then a teensy little like description at the bottom with language, and it's like, if those like teensy little things, if it's not available to put it there, you need to say it in the video.
Okay.
It needs to be somewhere in the first like impression.
And do you just say ad, or do you have to say ad paid by whoever it's paid by?
Up to this point, it's just been hashtag ad.
So it doesn't even need to like identify the sponsor. It just needs to show that it's an advertisement.
From what I've experienced, it always has to be explicitly clear that this is an advertised thing.
Okay.
And if you do stuff like hashtag ad in a reel, for instance, it does a little thing as you're trying to post, being like, oh, is this a sponsorship? Should we be tagging a brand explicitly? Yeah. And then that's where you can like tag a brand and ask for permission. But again, like I said, it's such a clunky process.
Yeah.
And Instagram's hashtag ad is their way of tracking and making sure you're not getting away with it, but it's just their way of also being like, look, we're taking care of making sure things are explicit for you government people. And it's never done perfectly,
I mean,
at least for the creators.
This is like where the middle ground is like in these social media companies, the company itself is kind of like out of it. You know what I mean? Like the people who are going to get enforced upon are the company that asked for the sponsorship and the influencer who's not doing it properly.
And it's like what, like a $50,000 fine?
I don't remember. Yeah,
it's a pretty hefty fine.
It's a hefty fine per
post, yeah.
time that you do it. So like if you're not doing it on every platform, you can probably get hit for that same exact sponsorship just on different platforms.
So I guess how would the FTC, just like looking at content, know if something is something that you're like if you're using a product, how do they determine whether you're advertising it or you just like the product and that's the product you're choosing to feature? Like if you're doing makeup, and
that's the problem though. Like we need to know.
But what? Okay.
You know what I mean?
Yeah,
like that's the problem. It's like, how are we supposed to know if you really do like this
But I
lotion
mean, like
or
when
not?
you're going to like when the FTC is looking at something to enforce it, how do they know that, oh, this person should have put an ad up there and not this person just likes this brand?
I don't know. I think they
don't know.
Yeah,
They don't know.
They don't know.
I think they
And
yeah.
that's kind of the gray area that they're probably trying to enforce now. I don't know how they're going to do it, but like for instance, a drag queen doing makeup tutorials. Now, more often than not, you'll find the people creating the content being like, and it's not sponsored. I just really love it.
Yeah.
They go out of their way to be very clear that this is not a sponsorship because they don't want to get even.
Nikki
they don't even
Tutorials
want
is
the-
very good about that.
Very good about that.
Very
absolutely.
good. Very good about it. Yeah, she's very good about it.
And then I don't know, how do the platforms actually like treat sponsored content versus non-sponsored content differently?
It's not so much the platform as much as like audiences that used to be the real like test to see if it was a sponsorship or not. Like because back in the day, audiences thought that every creator on the internet made millions of dollars just by existing. And so audiences would be like, oh, sponsorships, what a sellout. And they would like disengage.
I used to do that. I'm not going to lie.
You're the problem. It's you.
I now click on all the ads. I now click every time someone's like that. I'm like, good for you. You're getting your coin. Yes, click.
Well, that's because
like
creators aren't making money anymore by these platforms too.
Okay.
Like
Amazing.
the second something is not advertiser friendly, now that the platform can't make money, they don't care about your content, and then stuff usually doesn't do as well. If you have an advertisement and you make it very clear and you're still monetized or advertiser friendly, platforms generally treat it all the same.
Yeah.
I don't need you to get like into like finite like legal terms or like specifics, but like when you're speaking with the sponsor, like what are the kind of things that you talk about in terms of like forming like an agreement or an arrangement?
Yeah, well, how engaged or involved they want the product on said video. Like for us, when we're dealing with a sponsorship, it's usually someone in the sex realm or in like the bed realm or something that has to do with the bedroom. And so for that, we'll usually be like, well, we'll do an ad for, a minute or two in the first half of the video. Here's our numbers. Here's how much we usually ask for. And then they'll respond with yes, no, negotiate. And here are the ad talking points we want. Here is exactly what we would like visually. Here is where we want your opinion of the product. And make sure it posts on this platform with that hashtag, this platform with that hashtag, and tag us here, 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 here.
Nice.
Most companies are pretty good about giving you a very strict, like, this is what we want,
Yeah.
and go for it. And we kind of just run with it from there. But it's usually pretty easy.
I think that's probably changed and developed a lot over the years because it's like I'm sure at the beginning it was like a mess and now it's like okay bitch do what I said.
Yeah, you
like
got a system and a process down.
Yes. I don't even think we talked about your credentials or why we brought you on this first time, but you are the host of What's the Safe Word, a wonderful program on YouTube and on
and What's the Safe Pod
and What's the Safe Pod, yes. And what else? Tell us all the things.
Yeah. I'll give you my elevator speech.
Go
I'm
for
a
it.
content creator in the sex ed realm. I try to make sex less scary on the internet. We started as a very gay, like, conglomeration of content, but now it's very much just queer with the intent of anyone can learn sex ed, straight, gay, bi, trans. We try to be inclusive, but we have YouTube that we do pretty much weekly, podcasts weekly, separate content. We do Twitch streams 5 times a week, and then we're on Instagram and Twitter as well.
Amazing. And that's why we wanted to bring you to talk about, because you you were part of litigation against Google, YouTube for kind of shadow banning practices. Is that right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So that's our main topic for today.
Yeah.
It's
main topic.
Divino Group v. Google. So, I mean, tell us about what it started as and like what led to the litigation.
Yeah, well, it started with, funny enough, advertising. Years and years ago, large creators were doing stuff that was not advertiser friendly, and the advertisers got upset because Coca-Cola was being put in front of like anti-Semitic content by one of the largest creators on the platform. If you know who PewDiePie is.
Yes. PewDiePie.
Yep. And if you don't, we sound like we're having a seizure, but we're not, I promise.
Yeah.
But I'm guessing, YouTube talked with a bunch of the governments and were saying like, okay, after advertisers were like, we don't want content here, YouTube freaked the fuck out and started it was a very heavy-handed, like, if it's not advertiser friendly, you don't get ads at all. And so much so that like everyone's content was getting dinged for advertisement, and then no one was making ad revenue. So the creators started getting more sponsorships. And so when all of that kind of happened, we saw that our content took a huge hit because we're sex ed. And for about 3 or 4 years, queer content in general was just getting dinged predominantly and a lot heavier. So they started bringing in a bunch of their high up YouTubers. You got like your Tyler Oakleys, you got like your Davey Wavies, you got all these queer content creators that are very well known. And we found out later, brought a bunch of them in, had them sign NDAs to say like, hey, we want to get your feedback and fix the platform because we see that literally like 80 to 90% of some of your libraries are getting dinged with check marks that are bad. And on YouTube, you have now, years later, you have 3 categories you live in. Monetized, or a green $sign. Monetization, like restricted or limited advertising, which is like a yellow $sign.
Okay.
And then you have age-restricted content and fully demonetized, which is like a red $sign. Our library to this day is still about 60% red $signs. At least, and then some restricteds in there. We've kind of found the green $sign like bandwidth, but literally our lawsuit started because a bunch of queer creators, a class of creators, said, hey, we literally have multiple examples, hundreds, if you put us all together, of videos that are just treated inappropriately and have been fully restricted because we're queer people, and because we're gay.
That's because your content is deemed not advertiser friendly by the platform.
By the platform, they've built algorithms now that pretty much just mine all the data there to be like, what words are being used in the captions, what words you got down here, what are the tags. Like you can do that, and then later on down the line, it used to be you could like put up a video, it'd be green $sign, and then two or 3 days into the content, which is when like it either takes off or it doesn't. A human would say this isn't advertiser friendly, and it would get age restricted again. So like we were having to work 3 times as hard to get something monetized, and then in the end we're still getting dinged.
Is there any sort of guidance? Like I know if you like go to YouTube, there's like published community standards. Are there like published advertising standards?
Or like I know that some at least some of the people I follow, it's like they purposely bleep out the words like porn or something like that, or like anything related, because it's like I don't even want to get close to this like subject, so they'll do that. But is there anything like guidelines like that?
So of course they've ramped it up and fixed it since then, but back in the day, like for about 3 or 4 years, I was just being gaslit by the help team, being told that we couldn't help, they couldn't help us, being told that it was. So this is how frustrating their advertising system was too. Is like, hey, your video's not advertiser friendly because of, and then an essay of possible things it could have been. Never pinpointed. Never like it's not good here. It's not good here. It's not good here. It's imagine you do a book report and your English teacher says, yeah, I got to give you an F because of maybe the sentence structure, or maybe you didn't write it on the actual topic. Maybe it was your grammar, or actually no, maybe your thesis wasn't good. But it's one of those things, you just got to figure it out. And if you want to resubmit the video, I'll probably just give you the same feedback, but it probably was just one of those 5 things.
So you never have clear guidance on like what's going on. Like you have to like first get in trouble, and then they give you a list of potential things, and you like change something, and you maybe get a shorter list back.
No, you wouldn't get anything.
No, you wouldn't get anything.
No feedback.
No feedback. Okay.
Nowadays you can self-certify your videos as you upload it, and even then you're graded on if your video is agreed with by the platform or not. And so if you're in bad ratings, like if they disagree with you every time, you don't get to self-rate. But if you're like okay, you get to self-rate every time, but they can still disagree.
Yeah.
And so that's how it works now, and it's still not perfect. But before we did the lawsuit, and again, this is 5 years ago now. It's been going for 5 years.
Mm-hmm.
We would get no support. We would get gaslit and told, well, it's not that, it's this. And then you'd fix the thing they told you and be like, actually, it's the other thing.
Mm-hmm.
You wouldn't give full like monetization features. We can't sell merch via YouTube, even though we meet all their criteria. And what really did it for YouTube, after so many of these creators were upset and yelling at the platform that they're being homophobic, one of the people that was part of our suit had tried to buy advertising. So where creators like myself, shoot stuff, we put it up and we get ads on top of it that pays part of our income if it's advertiser friendly. These people were trying to buy ads to put in front of queer content specifically because they were doing a show in San Francisco for like the holidays. Mm-hmm. And it got so confusing for them as they were trying to buy ads and YouTube advertising kept saying no, 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 no. They eventually had called and were so like frustrated. They got like a manager who on the phone while they were recording the call, because it was legal to do, said, well, we can't take your money. We can't approve your ad campaign because of the gay thing.
Oh, no.
On tape. To clarify, they were on the phone with this manager, this high up person in Google. They were like, so you're saying we can't do it because of the LGBTQ nature of the content. You are literally discriminating against us because we are
gay
LGBT. And the guy said, no, because of the gay thing. fully. And this is just it. This is how they used to grade things back in the day, was by manual review only. They're training this algorithm manually with people's opinions, but there's a bias there by the people that are reviewing the content. Yeah. Because a large amount of that content exists, and the moderation exists not in America. Mm-hmm. So you're getting biases socially or culturally from people who don't like gays. Yeah. And there was a bunch of back and forth, but they had that call, and that was when I heard about it through some people that friends, Mr. Pam. So Mr. Pam got them in contact with me because they knew I did YouTube, and they're like, "Do you have problems?"
Yeah, you're like, "Let me tell you, honey."
Literally years of gaslighting, gatekeeping, girl bossing from YouTube, and they started finding other creators who found other creators who contacted other creators. And we had a class of many creators who were just like, here's all my data. Here's all my screenshots. Here's every single time I've just added the tag gay or lesbian. And it was immediately restricted and dinged. But for whatever reason, back in the day, like if you had gays as a hashtag or a tag or lesbians, it was fine. But one single gay or one single lesbian?
No, plurals, yes. We can live for the groups of them, but not the singular.
Everyone starts getting together and sharing the YouTube receipts. Like, at what point did legal action start taking place, and how did the lawsuit come about?
The lawsuit came about because of that call.
Okay.
And because we had enough people, we of course we all talk behind the scenes. We have our chats where we kind of be like, what do we do with this video because it's dinged here? And we all start talking. We're like, well, the straight people over here are doing the same exact video, and they're monetized. God.
I remember that. I remember we'd be watching music videos, and I forget whose video it was, but it was basically like a nipple in latex. Oh, and you were like so upset. Cyrus. What's up?
Miley Cyrus.
Yes, and it was like that would have been demonetized on a queer person's thing.
WAP, when it came out, all the gays were upset not because the song was a bop, because it was, and it still is.
WAP is a bop.
Because there was asshole everywhere, and there were tits jiggling around, and they're literally talking about things I can't even allude to in a video because it's too adult. Yeah. But number one trending, monetized out the house, making so much money. And I can't talk about butt sex because I'm gay. And at the same time,
because you're one gay. If there were multiple gays, it would have been okay.
Multiple, fine. But at the same time, we're literally sending screenshots to YouTube representatives who are like, well, we can't explain that issue. We can't talk about why.
Because gay.
But it was a double standard.
Wow.
And on top of that, we have this call, and then we also had one of the people that they had brought in for those NDAs years ago, and they were talking to all the high up YouTube, Google, queers. One of the YouTube employees broke the NDA for that specific person, so they joined the suit.
Oh.
And they have a lot of like, hey, YouTube and Google said they were going to allegedly promise to fix it, and we're 3 years later and still nothing has happened. Like what's going on, you know? And YouTube's stance on that was just like, well, we don't have to allow you to talk about that though. You know, you don't have a fully fledged contract with us. You're just a creator on our platform. If you don't like it, go elsewhere. Where are you going to go?
Exactly. I hate that. Yeah. It's like, what is the marketplace? It's like this, unfortunately, this is the only marketplace for this type of thing. So what ended up happening with the lawsuit?
So for when we launched the lawsuit officially, like it was a few months of all the creators talking with our lawyers and just being like, well, let's do a video when we announce it, when we drop it. And we coordinated a nice little script. We filmed different parts for each of us to say, put it all together, and we all put the video up on our YouTube channels respectfully. And I think ours did the best on what's the safe word, but that's because we were still creating every single week. We were still creating content consistently.
Yeah.
Where a lot of the other creators, and no shade whatsoever, were just so burnt out and frustrated that they didn't keep doing it.
Yeah.
You know, which is how they get you.
Yep.
When you, and I feel this burnout sometimes too with all of the platforms and how sex negative they are, but we put this video up and within the first 18 hours, I think it was demonetized and remonetized. It changed monetization about 6 times. Like literally, I could look at every timestamp of when it was demonetized, and so yellow $sign, then there was red, then there was green, then it was yellow again, then it was green again, and that's just the experience for creators. You know, this was again 5 years ago, but it was so confusing because even YouTube was like, "Does this break legally? Does this break our guidelines?" I mean, they're not saying anything bad, but they're saying that we're being homophobic. It was a wild ride.
Yeah, and then it's like censorship of like the opposing view at that point. Like,
it's not just demonetization though, right? Because you've told me that like you have subscribers that just stop getting updates from you,
and that happened to Willem.
You'll post a video, your subscribers won't see it, or you won't come up in searches, or just people will stop having access to your content.
Yeah, and so for us, it was a lot of that, and I still get that I would say at least twice a month. I'll find a comment that says, "Oh, you guys are still creating? I thought you stopped." Like, I was unsubscribed. I'm so sorry. I don't get any notifications,
that
even though I have the
happened
bell
to me.
on.
That literally happened to me with Willem. I checked because she mentioned it on the podcast, and I checked, and I was like, "No, I've been subscribed to Willem. Why did I get unsubscribed?"
I thought you were talking about your content, and I was just gonna be like, "I blocked you."
Yeah.
Snooze.
Snooze.
You're
no
not shadow banned. I
notification.
snoozed you.
Yeah. and then I affirmatively went subscribed again, and then was unsubscribed. Like.
Yeah, I noticed it a lot on like Twitter content too. Like you can't even search for people. Like their name won't come up in people. You have to search and post and see if someone else tagged them to find them.
Wow.
Yeah.
And so we did no shade, no tea, no receipts specifically, but like we even approached a bunch of RuPaul girls, and because they were having the same issues, you know, they're much more advertiser friendly now because they've seen and they see how drag is like important, you know,
all over the world.
But a lot of the queens were like, no, and the reason was they didn't want to get on Google's bad side.
Yeah.
Which is valid. I can't be upset about that. But at the same time, without like, if we're not standing up as a community, like everyone fails, you know, in some cases. But from there, from getting the class together, then we all literally filmed the same video where we reviewed tea, literally like green tea. So we all did videos where we were talking about tea, and we uploaded the video twice. And in one of the videos, we kept saying LGBT, LGBT, gay, lesbian, trans, LGBT. And then in the other video, we just talk about this lovely cup of tea without the gay words. And we all upload it. And can you guess which of our videos across the board consistently got dinged?
7.
I don't know. I love Crystal.
It's really hard.
I love Crystal.
Yeah, it was the one where we had all of the gay terms that we were speaking out loud. And even with that, they were like, that doesn't really prove anything.
Bitch.
All right. So we have your content demonetized because it's queer. We have your content and your handles getting shadow banned because it's queer. I was also reading that YouTube was like putting like harmful content or or some sort of like disclaimer or something too. Can you tell us more about that?
Sure, I love that.
Ooh.
Well, so so there is also what's called restricted mode.
That's what it
which
was. Okay.
which back in the day, if you went in under restricted mode, which is a little toggle at the very bottom, you know how you have like dark mode?
Yes.
It's like one of those settings. And for YouTube Kids, it's automatically on.
Okay.
Respectfully, absolutely.
Yes,
We
yes,
don't want kids
yes.
seeing harmful content. And while I am a sex educator, there are other people in our case, they're just trans, and they talk about trans ideologies and their transition and their journey. And then we have people who literally like ABC of LGBT for kids. Like, it's fun ukulele music. They're singing about representation. Like people that literally helped to create like the Blues Clues related content specifically for Blues Clues. They're getting dinged. So we were all in this restricted list. And while I don't want to be automatically restricted when a setting's accidentally forced on people or turned on, I get why some of my content is restricted, but at the same time, me reacting to TikToks with my partner who just happens to be gay shouldn't be one of those videos that gets restricted if it follows the guidelines. And at the same time, all of these people who are literally creating content for kids or for those that might be going through puberty and trying to figure out their bodies or hormones, it's not going to harm anyone, and it shouldn't be in this restricted mode. But on top of that, we're in this restricted nebulous zone, but people that are reacting to our content, which was also part of our lawsuit, fully monetized, calling us really offensive stuff and putting us in front of if I were to do something that most people would understand, like a Lids of TikTok audience. Like the people that were reacting to the people in our suit that were trans or just were doing kids specific
and being
LGBT.
hateful. Like,
yes.
Yeah.
Yep.
And putting a huge magnifying glass on these small creators and sending hordes of hate their way. And the creator that they're hating on, age restricted.
Yep.
But the creators that are literally bullying, fully monetized and making bank.
I thought that was an interesting claim in the case, because the argument was made that by having a disclaimer that this is like restricted and harmful content, it's false advertising, because the harmfulness is the queerness, and you're saying that it's harmful, and you're making the argument by having this thing and you're saying that it's harmful, you're not going to want someone to watch it, when ultimately it's just queer people or trans people talking about stuff that isn't really harmful to children.
So,
go
ahead.
At the time, sorry to interrupt. At the time, there were like people who were really good at reading website coding, and they started like literally like going in and noticing that there were certain ratings in some of the code, and so it got to the point where like for a good couple days, because they did a video. They did a video where they were like, "Here's how to check the rating of your videos if you're ever curious."
Oh no!
And within a day and a half, that was coded out. YouTube saw the video and they coded it out because we were able to look in and see what they were X rating and actually like looking into the data, and it was a very clear bias of like, well, my video that's talking about, use an example, we did a flavored lube taste test. I'm
so sorry that probably tasted so bad.
Oh, it was terrible. Although creme brulee and pumpkin spice latte, actually not bad.
Okay.
You can't go wrong with pumpkin spice.
Yeah, but like
okay,
the cherry. But there was like this straight couple that did, silly, stupid stuff. And they did a lube taste test, fully monetized, good viewership. We do the same video and it was rated like X, which is the worst rating in their system.
It's just
and even though same video, same content, different people, we were the ones that were rated X, where these people were PG because it's straight people being silly and tasting lube. Like, that is an actual thing that happened for us, at least.
You use the word their system, and I think, obviously your case is meant to stop the queer discrimination and to stop the use of like the disclaimers, but I think, and I know you mentioned this to me, a large part of the case is figuring out what the system is and like how YouTube is figuring out and where it's like in the algorithm how to draw the line and where to distinguish.
Well, so that's what I think that's the word we should really focus on is algorithm. Like it's something that they have created, they've trained, that's absolutely not perfect, because even when we get an automatic ding from the system in the back, like our green dollar sign turns yellow, we're allowed to ask for a manual review, and it's most videos need a manual review for us. And a lot of times the manual review from a human will turn it green again. So the system's flawed.
Yeah.
It's not even, the algorithm is flawed.
Yeah.
But they have manual reviews that are trying to fix it, but not fix the actual algorithm, if that makes sense. They're putting duct tape over it.
Yeah.
And so what we're trying to do is get transparency, obviously,
Yeah.
but have discoverability of like, well, can we at least show you why and how the algorithm is flawed?
Yeah.
But if you're Google, like,
They don't care.
Do you want people to see how the cookies are made? You know, how the sausage is packed?
Yeah.
I mean, you do.
Yes,
I love seeing
of course, he loved all the
but-
sausage things.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's what I was gonna ask about. I mean, just gonna like wrap it up and be like, hey, what are you hoping for? What can we do? What can our audience do? Like, what's next? I guess.
Sure. Well, so like this entire suit, essentially what we're alleging as well as other people have alleged, our lawyers have worked with a class of people of color who are literally alleging the same thing, but have their own instances of like being discriminated against because of the color of your skin and who you are. And even AI specialists have said that, you know, algorithms are racist. Surprise. What you can do, I mean, support your queer creators, obviously, retweet, like, comment, make sure you're subscribed and ring that bell. But like, hold your companies accountable, especially when it comes to like Pride. So
Yes,
we
girl.
dropped this lawsuit that same year. We walk up to the Pride board in SF and they said, well, but we've already taken their money, so we can't take Google out of the parade. Like,
Okay.
if you're part of queer stuff or Pride stuff, make sure that you have like, I don't know, at least a task force of people that, you know, audit the companies that are involved within your campaigns of Happy Gay, High Pride Month. Like,
The audit is
also-
whether the money came through or not. That's the audit.
unfortunately, unfortunately, like, it's ridiculous.
Yeah, I'd much rather have no Google in the parade and more naked people.
Right?
Yeah,
Don't get
even
me
if it's
started on
naked
King of
Google
Pride.
people.
Yes.
What can you do? Unfortunately, not much right now, except stay aware and
Yes.
like retweet and talk about and be a part of the conversation. Because
Yes.
if you want to make it really real, let's look at the case that just went through the Supreme Court where they literally made up a fake LGBT
Oh,
discrimination.
we just talked about that on
Oh,
2
okay,
episodes
okay.
ago,
Yeah.
and it
I
wasn't
wanna-
fake. We learned about preemptive or pre-enforcement challenges that can happen to speech cases.
Which actually like
Right.
have been used to help fight the drag ban. So like
Yes.
it sounds shitty
It sounds
on its
shitty, yes.
face, but it's not as shitty as it is.
Yes, but this is shitty, and
This
we're
is shitty.
glad that you're
Yeah.
here to talk to us about it and shine some light on it. And we're glad to hear it.
And where's the best place that we could find you?
Yes.
Yeah, at Pup Amp on everything, but for What's the Safe Word content, at What's the Safe Word on YouTube, Twitter, Instagram, What's Your Safe Pod on any podcasting app. We talk about all sorts of queer shit, not just legal cases with Google. We have a good time.
And on Twitch.
And on Twitch too. You can find us at What's the Safe Word.
Yes.
Too much content.
Too much content. Too much. And you two being so famous, every time I'm out with the two of you, I just get shoved in the corner. And
But she likes it like that.
I kind of do, actually. Yeah, I take it. you guys get busy, and then I just like take a moment on my phone, like while you're like, you know, talking to me.
Yeah,
Sure.
you learn how the sausage is made in the corner of the bar.
Yes, absolutely.
She was Saturday night.
Yes.
Well, thank you so much for coming on. It's always a pleasure to see you, Amp.
Likewise. Thank you guys so much for having me.
Yes, and thank you for watching another episode and listening to another episode of Reading is Fundamental. Make sure to like, comment, subscribe, and let us know what you want to hear. And until next time, bye.
Bye.
Because reading is what?
Thank you for joining us for another episode of Reading is Fundamental.
Be sure to like, comment, and subscribe so we can keep bringing you the show for free. As a reminder, Reading is Fundamental is brought to you by Fleshbot.com, the leading resource for gay erotica.
DM us with your comments, questions, and let us know what you want to hear.
Or you can email us at readingisfundamentalpodcast@gmail.com.
Until next time,
Remember to read your damn contracts. Why?
because reading is what?
Fundamental.
Fundamental.
Fundamental.